Buonasera, welcome back to our Italian sessions, and thank you very much for subscribing and listening, watching the videos, and liking them, and for your comments. Um, do remember that your suggestions, questions, suggestions for topics that I haven't covered yet, questions about any topic I have covered already are very welcome. And do remember that I do Italian private tuition, so do get in touch if you're interested. So the last few videos have been about the pronouns. We have covered quite a bit of them. There is always a lot to talk about when it comes to pronouns, personal pronouns. But today we're going to do something slightly maybe easier for a change. We're going to talk about one tense, one verb tense, which is gerundio. Gerundio or gerund in English. So, which is when in English you have ing. However, as simple as it may sound, let's see some traps where people can also fall into. So let me just share the usual table, very useful table that I have from one of my books. And we're going to see, first of all, the gerund as a tense, as a proper tense. So a conjugation of verbs. I think you can see it now. So gerundio. Gerundio is a gerund in English, so it's ing in English, where in English you add ing to a verb. In Italian, as usual, we have the three groups, are, ere, and ire. So they are quite, this is quite straightforward because you're not learning many different endings. As you can see, these the verbs in are. We have an example, studiare become ando. So studiare is to study, and studiando is studying. Eh, the verbs in ere become endo. So we have an example, leggere becomes leggendo. So to read and reading. And then we have the verbs in ire, which become also endo. We have the example partire, which becomes partendo. So to leave or to depart becomes leaving or departing. I'm pronouncing the g at the end. As you can see, normally in every conjugation, the group of verbs in ere and the group of verbs in ire are very close and similar to each other. So basically, the conjugation is ando for the verbs in are and endo for both verbs in ere and ire. We do have some irregular verbs. Um, so not the usual, not necessarily the usual suspects. Some are. So we have dire. I guess what else can you do really with this dire, especially when they're so short? Dire becomes dicendo, bere becomes bevendo, fare becomes facendo. These three obviously are more important, or quite important, especially fare, facendo, when you're asking what are you doing? Facendo, you are going to use it quite a lot, exactly like you do in English. What are you saying? Che cosa stai dicendo? Exactly the same, saying, dicendo. Here we have some other examples used a lot less. You may hear, because of studying languages, tradurre, which is to translate. It is in general an irregular verb anyway. And also in the gerundio will be traducendo, porre, which is mainly used in written or more formal language. It's another way to say to put, mettere. So normally you would use mettere. So porre becomes ponendo, and then trarre, which is to draw, not to draw, but like to draw conclusions, for example, which is traendo. So these three verbs, you're not going to see them very often, or you will see them later on when your vocabulary is a little bit wider. So do concentrate on these three instead, especially dire or far and fare. Bere as well, really, is quite to drink, is quite important. So dire is to say, bere to drink, fare to do, to make, as I'm sure you all know already by now. And here we have an example. Um, in fact, as I said, the question that you would ask quite often, what are you doing? What are you saying? Which is when you actually have the construction of the verb stare with the gerundio. Gerundio, as I said, is the ing, which makes the presente progressivo. Technically, that is really the tense. Exactly the same in English. So you can use ing on its own in certain constructions, certain sentences. However, if you're using it as a tense, what are you doing? Then you, in English, you use the verb to be, I am, and then the main verb, and you attach ing to the main verb. So I am doing, you are doing, he, she is doing, etc. So in English is the verb to be plus ing. In Italian, we don't use the verb to be, we use the verb stare plus gerundio. So stare plus, so you conjugate the verb stare. So that is another reason why you should learn the verb stare, not the only reason. And so, for example, is sto, it is an irregular verb. Io sto, and then the main verb, and we attach ando or endo to it. Here, as I said, we've got this sentence which you would hear quite a bit, especially if you live in Italy or if you're listening to very colloquial or everyday conversation. Che cosa stai facendo? What are you doing? Sto mangiando. So here I am eating. From mangiare, which is a verb in are, becomes ando, mangiando. What does it mean? So when do we use this tense, this presente progressivo? In Italian, we use it only when we are doing something exactly now. And in fact, here in brackets, we say mangio ora. I eat now. That's what I'm doing now, in this moment. Ma non ho ancora finito. So I am doing it now and I haven't finished yet. So it is used to um, describe or to say what we are doing exactly at the time and we are still doing it. Um, so you can use it in a little bit more extended, let's say, way. For example, if you're saying, I'm building a house, we are building a house, we are buying a house. So you are in the, apologies, you are in the process of building a house, in the process of buying a house. So that is a bit more general. It is still an action that is happening, not necessarily every moment, but you are in the process of doing in general. However, as I said, we do use this tense, this presente progressivo, when we are saying exactly what we are doing in that moment, which is the same in English as well. What are you doing now? I am reading. I am watching TV. I am relaxing, I am cooking. So, che cosa stai facendo? Sto leggendo, sto cucinando, sto riposando. Um, Something to be careful careful of, not doing, you have to be careful not to do this, is that in English, this structure, so the verb to be plus main verb and ing, like I am going tomorrow, for example, is different from I am going now. So in English, this exact construction is also used as to indicate something that we are going to do in the future, very close, very near future. Like tomorrow, I am going, I don't know, to the shops. I am going to do shopping. I am going to the cinema. So it is also used, as I said, for to indicate the future, very close future. So it's slightly different from I will go, which is the future in English, which you can use for actions that you're going to perform later on as well, or just slightly different use. But remember that in Italian, you cannot do the same. You cannot use this tense, this presente progressivo, di stare plus gerundio exactly in the same way. You cannot use it for the future, only for something that you are doing now. As I said, there is only that use. Also, you have to be careful in English. Very often, the gerundio ing is used when in Italian we use the infinitive, like going to do shopping is, I don't know, boring, exciting, whatever it is for anyone. In Italian, in this case, we would use the infinitive. Andare a fare la spesa è noioso, è divertente. So that's another thing you have to be careful of. You cannot use these constructions, this ing on its own, and expect to do the same in Italian. In Italian, in that case, we use the infinitive. So be careful when what you are actually saying. Um, and then do we have, yes, and then in general, especially in the UK, I'm not sure in other English-speaking countries if the same thing is happening, but there is more and more this trend of using these constructions with the ing in when it's not really appropriate, but it is becoming part of the use, really everyday use. So, for example, this is just something that I've actually heard. Where do you live? I'm living in. Do you need to say I am living in? Unless in a context like at the moment, this is where I'm living. But if this is where you normally live and you've always lived, you don't need to say I am living in the UK, unless, as I said, at the moment I'm living in the UK. However, I wasn't a short time ago, and I will not in a little while. That would be a correct context, but not if this is where you normally live. I live in the UK. So watch out for all these, as I said, these traps or different uses of the ing in English. So I repeat, in Italian, this construction, presente progressivo, is used to when we are saying what we are doing exactly in this moment. Like in this moment, I am talking. Sto parlando. Mm. O sto registrando. I am recording. I'm not really doing anything. So I cannot say that I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm doing it now. Um, so let's stop sharing. I hope this was useful. And as usual, as I said, feel free to ask questions about anything that I have said today. If something is not clear, if you want to know a little bit more information, feel free to write a comment, ask questions. in the comments. And if it is a short answer, I will reply in the questions. Otherwise, I'm always happy to have a follow-up video with extra information, especially if there are informations that everybody can benefit about, and it's something that maybe adds or leads to something else, which is useful to know. So I will leave you with this, and this is a lesson or a video like many others, which are for all levels. Either if you are a beginner and that is the very first time that you see this tense, this gerundio or presente progressivo, that is, as I said, quite straightforward, something to learn without learning or memorizing too many endings. Or it could also be revising for somebody who is maybe on a higher level, like intermediate or advanced level. So I hope it is useful for everyone. I will see you on our next video. Bye bye. Ciao.